There we go.
Right. Perfect. And I wanted to record this because I actually think this could be a good resource to give to new members.
Yes.
Okay, show of hands, Toastmasters. How many of you knew exactly what you wanted to do when you came to Toastmasters? You had it in your mind that you were going to be doing this speech and this speech and this speech, and you had a plan. Raise your hand if you had a plan. Bettina kind of has a plan. I had no plan. I'm glad to see that a lot of other people didn't have a plan either. I didn't know really anything about Toastmasters when I first joined, other than I knew it was going to help me conquer some of the fear that I had around speaking, but I had absolutely no knowledge of how I was going to get from point A to point B. So I loved seeing this format because it really, if I had been able to go back and learn this at the beginning, I think it would have made my first couple of months with Toastmasters just a lot smoother because I would have had a better understanding of the different paths that were available to me and a little bit more information about the base camp program. So I didn't have any idea. I just knew I wanted to do something. And so really, I I think a lot of people are the same way. We just kind of guessed. You kind of just say, okay, well, this program sounds good, but we don't really have a great way, or we didn't have a great way of learning how to figure out what you actually wanted to do and match that to the goals that you might have coming into the program. So luckily though, with pathways, there are 6 different paths. There's dynamic leadership, there's engaging humor, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery, and visionary communication. But if you look at all these words together, what do they really mean? It's kind of like you're thinking outside of the box, or doing all that corporate speak. The only thing that made sense to me was presentation mastery. Yes, I wanted to master presenting. Therefore, that is the path that I chose. But there's more information out there about these different programs, these different paths. But any of these are great programs to go through. Anybody doing dynamic leadership on that path right now? Any of our Toastmasters? How about engaging humor? I don't think I can see everybody.
Mhm.
Motivational strategies,
Mhm.
persuasive influence. Who else is doing presentation mastery? I think I've got at least, yeah, I've got a couple people that are doing that. And visionary communication. All right. Okay. So you know what? And I would love to hear about why you chose the different paths that you chose, because I want to know if what you thought you were going to do is actually what you wound up doing. Well, within each of the pathways, there are 5 core competencies that are explored throughout the entire course. So you're obviously improving public speaking, you're improving your interpersonal communication. So that would be how you listen to other people. That might be how you lead a group. That might be how you manage a project. Deb has done some great discussions about project management and how she leads a team. You've also got strategic leadership. So if you are new to a leadership role, that is something you may want to specifically seek out in a different program that you are focused on. And there's also management and confidence. So that whole fear thing I did a few weeks ago was on how to master your fear when you're speaking, and you've got that's going to instill the confidence. So using some of those little tricks and the techniques about breathing and centering yourself and grounding. So all of these different things can be found in each of the 6 pathways. So even if you choose a pathway that you're like, I'm not sure what really I'm going to get out of this, know that you're going to get these core competencies in any path that you choose. I inserted this slide because I liked the visual of when you log into the website, you can go to Basecamp, and that's where you're going to find most of your content. But you've also got this learning hub, and then you've got the achievement board. How many of you looked at your achievement board? I just looked at my achievement board. Deb, you looked at your achievement board. You get little things for each level that you've accomplished. That was kind of a nice little kudos right there. So I encourage you to go take a look at these 3 different places. If you haven't gone there yet, go take a look at those and see what you learn about the site and the learning hub. Okay, so within there, yeah, you can access your path, track your progress, view your awards and recognition, and complete your digital evaluation resources. So it's good to have that there. Again, accessing your path, it seems like there's a few different ways to access your path. So sometimes I get on some other path and I'm like, how did I wind up here? But usually you come back home to where you can track where you're going and what the facets of your project are. Oh, and communicate with club officers as well. But we usually do that via email, and we are a lot looser of a club than that. Yes, and as we talked about, all paths offer opportunities to develop those public speaking skills and practice your leadership, build confidence. And sometimes, too, this is something interesting that I don't know if Jeff told me about this or learned it from somewhere. Maybe it was a Brian thing. You can get what you need to improve your skills out of every single project that is on Toastmasters in Pathways. So if you know, let's say you've had a bad evaluation at work and you need to brush up on a few skills, I can guarantee you that no matter what your next speech is, you can somehow tie that to something you're wanting to accomplish. We had Michelle last week who was practicing her interview skills. Remember that? So that she could actually take that next speech that she had to do or next project and be able to say, okay, what do I need to build on here? So every single one of us can use this as a tool to improve whatever it is you want to improve in your personal or your professional life. And each path does have a slightly different focus to help achieve your specific goals. But again, just like table topics, sometimes you don't get the question you really want to answer, but you can tweak it to make it work. So if you're really stuck, you don't know where to start, you don't know where to go next, you can always do this pathways assessment. Have any of you done the pathways assessment? Yeah, a few of you have done that. That's great. There's about 30, I think it's 30 questions that allow you to just, okay, what are you trying to achieve? What skills do you have? What skills do you want to gain? And then you just take this test. And I actually took this test again last night, and it told me that I should do engaging humor,
Oh,
which is great.
yes.
And that's probably what I'll be doing next. But as I'm still working through presentation mastery, that's great. It was kind of good to know, okay, I'm on the right path within my goals. So I do encourage you to do that. And then when you click on, let me go back. When you click on each one of these, and this is the visual piece that I thought was really very helpful to me. Each one of these shows you what you're going to get out of each level. So I felt like this was done in a way that I hadn't seen before. And so this really was helpful for me to picture, okay, these are the different things that each one of these levels is going to include. Does this fit with what I'm trying to achieve? It tells you what resources you've got and all this other stuff. So I really liked this. I would encourage you to go take a look at that if you have not done so already. Okay, so within presentation mastery, for example, we're going to go through the different pathways and look at the different things that you're going to achieve in each. So presentation mastery, and I'm not going to go through each of these. I think I'm just going to skip through some of these. Whoops, that's too fast. Come back. Okay, so presentation mastery versus like engaging humor. So they're saying that if your focus is going to be confidence, speech writing, delivery, those kind of projects, then either presentation mastery or engaging humor would be really good fits for that particular area of focus. And so you can take a look at the different things in presentation mastery versus engaging humor and say, okay, I want to do this path or I want to do this path. And some people have two paths open at the same time, which you can do, and you can kind of toggle back and forth between them. So if your goal is interpersonal and strategic communication, so that could be, again, listening, maybe asking questions. If you're in a sales position and you need to be improving your skills when you're trying to engage with somebody and talk to somebody in a sales capacity, this could be a really good place for you to take a look. Or, any sort of like a teaching position or something where you're trying to really get something out of individuals, I think this is a good path. And then if you're looking at visionary or innovative leadership, that could be either be that persuasive influence or that visionary communication. So if you're new in a leadership role and you need to motivate others, or I think about like Paul in his position, that I'm not sure what path he is doing, but I would assume that it's probably something in these categories here if he has not already done those. And then each of the pathways includes those 5 levels. And those 5 levels, we'll go through them in just a second. They start off in a more fundamental way, but then they grow from there. So let's take a look at those projects in like level 1. So these are the same projects. So they include the icebreaker speech, writing a speech with purpose, introduction to vocal variety and feedback, and evaluation and feedback. So every single level 1 has those same projects. Level 2 is where you're getting more into the understanding the skills that you are bringing to the table. So under like that presentation mastery, as I shared I was doing, we have understanding your communication style and effective body language. So these are more skills like assessing where you are at, and then how are you going to improve those skills? So that's what level 2 is all about, kind of more like what do you bring to the table? How are you going to improve that? Then once you get to level 3, these are where you're going to have more tailored projects specific to each path. And what I love about this is that you really get some electives. So Bettina, you're working tonight, you're doing a hot seat speech. You may not know exactly where this is going, but I can guarantee you're going to find something in elective somewhere that could work with whatever hot seat speech you're going to be giving tonight. And also, we've had people that have come and they want to do a best man speech. Remember that? We had somebody who came and did that best man speech. Well, that's a great elective category that he could have used. I'm not sure what he did, but that could be a good thing. So in mine, this is my level 3. So you can see here how many different options that I had. I wound up doing a presentation software project and a humor project. But here's Michelle's, she could have done preparing for an interview right here, inspiring your audience, connecting with your audience. There's a lot of different elective projects that could be great fits for something that you're trying to do. Okay, and then when you get your path done, you get to reflect on, okay, where were you at the beginning? Because you have to do an assessment prior to that. And then where are you at now? You get to share if you'd like to, but then that's the last step on your path before receiving your credit. And I'm excited to say that I have one more speech in my level 4. It's going to be a Q&A before I receive my path for completion, or my level 4 presentation mastery completion. And then this awards and achievement thing. This is kind of cool. So I showed you before where you can go and look at your accomplishments, but they also have different letters and things like that you can give to like your employer, or like maybe put it on your LinkedIn profile if that is relevant. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you might want to do when you have completed a level and had that achievement. Here's the employer letters. They're sent by the headquarters. And then you could even get an email from the international president. Congratulations. And you also have certificates of proficiency, and this is where you might want to put something on LinkedIn or refer to it on a bio or something like that. Okay, and then the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. I am not a Distinguished Toastmaster, but I was surprised to read really about how easy this would be. Not easy, but it's achievable. You get to complete 2 unique paths. You got to serve as a district leader. You get to serve as a club sponsor or conduct some youth leadership. I have no idea what that actually is, but that would be something that maybe we can talk about at a future Toastmasters meeting. Serve 1 year as a club officer. The sergeant at arms position is a fantastic position. I'd be happy to train any of you on how to do that for next year. And then you can also serve as a club mentor or coach and complete the Distinguished Toastmaster Project. And then you've got the Toastmasters Navigator on here too. So another way that you can navigate through the different pathways and the different, some different best practices for how to operate in your different positions there. So take a look at those resources as well. And then for me, my goal when I joined Toastmasters was to conquer conquer my fear, be more comfortable speaking, be more comfortable sharing information, learn how to engage more with the audience, have fun with the audience. That's one thing that I think I had really been missing for a long time is that I would just get so afraid that it was really hard for me to connect. And now I feel much more confident in that. And I'm only on level 4 of my first pathways. Okay. So hopefully this will help give you some insight as to how to choose a path, how to access the information on the Toastmasters website. And I hope that this has given you some ideas as to where you might go even next. Thank you all very much for joining me this evening.
Thank you, Shauna. Let's take 60 seconds and give Shauna some feedback. And for our guests, you will give